As the first light of day breaks over the Nile River, you stand on its banks, gazing at the vast waters stretching before you. The river is more than just a body of water, it is the lifeblood of Egypt, the very foundation upon which this great civilization has been built. Its waters have nurtured the land for millennia, turning barren desert into fertile fields, making agriculture possible and, most importantly, providing the means for trade to flourish. The Nile's natural course not only served as a source of sustenance, but also as a pathway connecting Egypt to the broader world. Its waters flowing as a network, linking the many cities and cultures along its banks. The river has shaped the very heart of Egypt, and as you breathe in the cool morning air, you realize that the story of trade here begins with the Nile. The earliest Egyptians relied on their waterways for more than just survival. Trade and commerce grew alongside agriculture, fed by the abundance of the river's floods, and Egypt's cities blossomed into vibrant centers of exchange. Merchants, traders, and even farmers would rely on this vital lifeline to send their goods to distant lands. The ancient Egyptians understood early on that to build a thriving civilization, they had to look beyond their immediate surroundings. And so, the Nile River, stretching from the southern reaches of Nubia to the Mediterranean coast, became a central axis of trade. Goods and resources flowed up and down the river, enriching Egypt with items from foreign lands, while also enabling the Egyptians to share their own commodities. Egypt's strategic position along this mighty river provided a natural trade route, connecting Egypt to a wide range of cultures, Nubia to the south, the Levant to the northeast, and beyond. This extensive trade network was not merely a byproduct of geographical location. It was driven by necessity and foresight. Egyptian merchants ventured across the vast desert and into neighboring regions, forging alliances, forming relationships, and negotiating exchanges. The Egyptians brought goods to the table that were in demand throughout the ancient world, including papyrus, grain, linen, and a wide array of agricultural produce. In return, they received precious metals like gold and copper, luxury items such as incense and rare stones, and the invaluable raw materials that they could not produce themselves, such as timber from Lebanon. The commerce in Egypt wasn't just for the elite, it touched every layer of society. The grain trade alone was crucial, not just for local consumption, but as a commodity that Egypt exported to its neighbors. The fertile land provided an abundance of crops, while the laborers, many of whom worked the fields and maintained the river's irrigation systems, formed the backbone of this agricultural and commercial boom. As the crops were harvested and the grain was shipped along the Nile, it ensured the continued wealth of the region and provided sustenance to distant parts of the empire. Governance in Egypt also played a pivotal role in the development and regulation of commerce. The pharaohs, with their control over vast territories and resources, ensured that trade ran smoothly, both internally and externally. The trade policies that the pharaohs set not only influenced Egypt's prosperity, but also shaped relations with its neighboring states. By controlling key points along the Nile, they could regulate who traded what and when, making Egypt a powerful player in the ancient world's economy. As you move through the bustling markets of Thebes, the epicenter of Egyptian commerce, the atmosphere is alive with energy.
To the northeast
Sellers
and
haggling
beyond.
over wares, merchants shouting to attract buyers, the sounds of metal clinking as valuable commodities change hands. This is where the lifeblood of the kingdom flows: trade goods, currency, and ideas, all blending in a melting pot of activity. The city's markets are full of not only local goods, but foreign items brought by the caravans from the desert or across the river. It's a testament to Egypt's thriving trade networks that such a variety of goods could be found in the heart of the empire. The importance of the Nile's trade routes cannot be overstated. The river wasn't just a means of transporting goods, it was the way Egypt connected with the world. From the south, in Nubia, came gold, ivory, and exotic animals, prized possessions of the Egyptian elite. The north brought in timber, papyrus, and oil, items that were essential to Egyptian society. Eastward, trade with the Levant and Mesopotamia opened the flow of precious stones, metals, and spices, which further enriched the kingdom. Yet the power of Egypt's trade networks extended beyond the goods exchanged. This complex web of commerce created ties of mutual dependence that shaped the culture of Egypt and its neighbors. The very notion of currency and exchange began to take form during this period, as Egyptians relied not only on bartering goods, but also on early forms of money to solidify trade deals. Gold, silver, and copper became symbols of wealth and status, and as such, played an instrumental role in Egypt's development as a world power. The Egyptians also developed the first rudimentary forms of credit and loans, facilitating trade that spanned across vast distances. Merchants who traveled along the Nile would often exchange goods on credit, with the promise to pay back the value of those goods with either more goods or currency. This system laid the groundwork for the more formalized banking systems that would eventually emerge in other civilizations. And Egypt was at the forefront of this early financial revolution. In the markets, as well as on the riverbanks, it's clear trade was the engine of Egypt's prosperity. From the farthest corners of the kingdom to the great cities like Thebes and Memphis, the flow of goods shaped the destiny of a civilization that thrived on commerce and connectivity. The pharaohs knew that by controlling trade routes and fostering alliances with foreign nations, Egypt could secure its place as a world power, influencing cultures and economies far beyond the Nile. As you reflect on this incredible commerce system, you realize that it wasn't just the pharaohs or wealthy merchants who benefited from Egypt's trade prowess. It was the people, the workers, farmers, and laborers who powered the economy through their hard work, dedication, and innovation. From the grain they harvested to the ships they sailed, their contributions were the true engine of Egypt's greatness. You walk through the bustling marketplace of ancient Egypt, a cacophony of sounds surrounding you. Merchants stand under brightly colored awnings, hawking their goods baskets of grain, intricately woven textiles, fresh produce, and finely crafted pottery. The air is thick with the scent of spices and food, and the clink of metal as traders negotiate deals. But as you watch, it becomes clear no coins exchange hands here. The Egyptians, at least for now, do not use money as we know it. Instead, they rely on an ancient practice as old as civilization itself: bartering. Bartering is the currency of the day. Goods are traded directly for other goods, with value determined. not by a standard coin or token, but by the scarcity and usefulness of the items themselves. A basket of grain might be exchanged for a piece of pottery, or a few cows could be swapped for linen or gold. Every transaction is a negotiation, with both parties seeking the most favorable exchange. As you observe, it's apparent that the flow of goods doesn't simply happen at random. There's a carefully calculated process of trade that underpins the marketplace, a system that ties people together through mutual reliance. But the world is changing. What you don't yet see in the market, though it's just on the horizon, is the beginning of something revolutionary. The transition barter to currency. And this shift, when it happens, will redefine not only the way people trade, but the very structure of the economy. The first change you notice is the increasing presence of precious metals, gold, and silver. You spot a merchant with a small chest of gold, rings, and silver bracelets. These metals are not only valuable for their craftsmanship, but have begun to take on a new role. No longer are they simply valuable as raw materials. They are becoming the first real form of currency. Gold, in particular, is seen as a symbol of wealth and power, prized for its durability, beauty, and scarcity. It holds intrinsic value and, as such, is perfect for use in trade. As Chimi goes on, more and more merchants are gold and silver as forms of exchange. It's a natural evolution.
And the
metal is durable, portable, and universally accepted as valuable.
It becomes clear.
And unlike crops or livestock, which can perish or be lost, these precious metals can be stored, transported, and traded easily. As the Egyptian economy grows and the kingdom expands, these metals become a more formalized method of trade. The need for a reliable medium of exchange that is not subject to the fluctuations of seasonal harvests or the vagaries of livestock health becomes more evident. It's not just the merchants and traders who benefit from this shift in trade.
We have a deal.
The pharaohs and their administrators begin to play an increasingly important role in regulating the new form of currency. The power of gold and silver is soon controlled by the state, and as you walk through the streets of the capital, you see large state-run workshops where artisans and metalworkers are busy melting down precious metals, refining them and creating standardized pieces, bars, ingots, and coins. This centralized control over the currency enables the pharaoh to regulate trade, collect taxes, and finance large-scale state projects. It's during this time that the construction of Egypt's greatest monuments, including the pyramids, truly begins to take shape. The wealth generated by trade down the use of gold as both currency and a method of storing wealth plays a crucial role in financing these monumental projects. The pharaohs, relying on the steady flow of goods, precious metals, and resources, direct the creation of temples, pyramids, and tombs, which will stand for millennia. These projects are not just built by manual labor. They are built by the wealth and power generated through trade and the new form of currency that facilitates it. The presence of gold and silver coins also allows Egypt to engage in broader trade with other nations. No longer bound strictly to bartering or relying on goods of equal weight and value. The Egyptian economy can now support more complex transactions and commercial ventures. Foreign traders bring their own goods timber from Lebanon, incense from Punt, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, and exchange them for gold and silver. The currency simplifies trade, making it easier for Egyptians to negotiate with merchants from across the known world. In this evolving economic landscape, the rise of gold and silver currency also leads to the establishment of a banking system of sorts. While there are no formal banks as we know them today, the system of storing and exchanging gold and silver allows for the creation of financial records. Large transactions, such as the purchase of land or slaves, can now be recorded and carried out with greater ease. This development creates a new class of scribes-educated men who record the details of transactions, keeping track of debts, credits, and purchases. These scribes not only play a key role in the economy, but also in the religious life of Egypt, as they document the dealings of the gods, the pharaohs, and the common people alike. As you walk through the bustling market and watch the transactions unfold, it's clear that the world is entering a new phase. The shift from barter to currency is more than just a change in the way goods are exchanged. It is the beginning of a new kind of economy, one where money, as we understand it today, will eventually dominate. The Egyptian merchants, once dependent on goods alone, will soon rely on these precious metals to trade across vast distances, further strengthening Egypt's position as a powerful commercial empire. But as the Egyptians begin to move away from the barter system and adopt precious metals as currency, it's important to consider what will be lost in the process. The intricate relationships and personal negotiations that were once the hallmark of trade in Egypt will give way to more standardized transactions. The rise of currency will make trade faster and more efficient. But it will also introduce new challenges, issues of theft, inflation, and the unequal distribution of wealth. Yet, for now, the transition is still in its early stages. As you stand in the market, watching the trades unfold, you realize that you are witnessing a pivotal moment in history. What once depended on direct exchange and trust between individuals is rapidly becoming something far more formal and far-reaching. The legacy of this shift will not only shape the future of Egypt, but will have profound implications for trade and currency systems throughout the ancient world. As you leave the marketplace, the echo of the transactions still ringing in your ears, you realize that the story of currency in ancient Egypt is still being written. The legacy of this transition will resonate far beyond Egypt's borders and will lay the foundation for the economic systems that would follow in the coming centuries. From the construction of the pyramids to the vast trade networks that Egypt would establish, the role of currency in shaping Egypt's future is undeniable. And as you continue your journey, you can't help but wonder how the rise of gold and silver will continue to influence not only the Egyptians but the world itself. As the sun begins its slow ascent over the horizon, you find yourself watching a caravan of merchants moving along the banks of the Nile River. The rhythmic sound of their camels' footsteps fills the air, a sound that has been the heartbeat of Egypt's commerce for centuries. These merchants, laden with goods, travel not only the length of the Nile but far beyond, to regions unknown to you. The landscape changes before your eyes as they make their way, disappearing into the vast desert or crossing the river in wooden boats, the lifeblood of Egypt's economy always flowing with them. In the distance, the wind stirs the sands, and you sense the growing complexity of the world the Egyptians are forging. What was once a simple, local trade system is becoming something far grander. As Egypt's empire expands, the trade routes grow longer, the exchanges more varied. You see merchants and traders from all walks of life, each one contributing to the vast web of commerce that stretches across Egypt and beyond. The Nile remains the core, but now other pathways are emerging, connecting Egypt to distant lands and cultures. Looking at a map of the ancient world, you realize that the network of trade routes extending from Egypt is not confined to the fertile banks of the Nile. As Egypt's influence grows, so too does the complexity of its trade network. The merchants here are part of a system that stretches all the way from Nubia in the south to the shores of the Mediterranean in the north, and beyond to the distant lands of Syria and Mesopotamia. These routes cross deserts, traverse mountains, and extend across seas, binding Egypt with the distant corners of the ancient world. The Egyptians are masters of navigation, whether on the winding course of the Nile or across the harsh, dry expanses of the desert. The Egyptians exchange goods with the peoples they encounter along these routes, creating an intricate network of commerce that has economic, cultural, and political implications.
Here are part of a system that
the Egyptians bring their own goods to the market things that have become symbols of Egyptian greatness. Papyri, intricately crafted linen, grain, and clothing made from the finest fabrics are some of the most sought-after commodities. In return, Egypt receives valuable treasures, precious metals like gold and silver, exotic animals, ivory, and perfumes, all of which are transported from distant lands. You watch as merchants carefully pack their precious cargo. And it becomes clear, their goods are the threads that tie Egypt to the outside world. Papyrus, which you have seen used for writing in temples and palaces, is highly sought after in distant lands. It is a symbol of Egyptian civilization, a tool of record-keeping, learning, and governance. It is traded far beyond Egypt's borders, carried by merchants into lands where writing is still in its infancy. Linen, too, is a valuable commodity. The finest Egyptian linen, soft and smooth to the touch, is prized across the Mediterranean, where it is woven into garments worn by the wealthy and powerful. The movement of grain is another key aspect of Egypt's trade. The fertile banks of the Nile produce a bounty of crops each year, and while much of it is used to feed the population of Egypt itself, large amounts of grain are shipped to distant lands. This grain trade is essential to the prosperity of Egypt, helping to feed the population of other empires and establishing Egypt's reputation as the breadbasket of the ancient world. But Egypt's trade network is not just limited to agricultural goods. You witness the movement of precious metals, which are vital to the Egyptian economy. Gold, particularly, is highly coveted in the ancient world, and Egypt is one of the richest sources of this precious metal. It is used in jewelry, ceremonial objects, and, perhaps most importantly, in the payment for large projects such as the construction of temples and pyramids. The trade of gold helps to fund Egypt's great monumental architecture, and the movement of this metal across borders strengthens Egypt's political and economic ties with other empires. As the caravans continue their journey, you observe how these trade routes have become the arteries through which Egypt's wealth flows. Foreign merchants who travel from places like the Levant, the Arabian Peninsula, and even Mesopotamia come to Egypt markets in search of these gold. These merchants are not only traders, they are intermediaries between Egypt and the wider world. They bring with them items that are unknown to the Egyptians, things like rare spices, exotic animals, and fine wines that are not native to Egypt. These foreign merchants helped to
is used in
facilitate the
jewelry,
exchange of ideas
ceremonial
as well as
objects,
goods,
and, perhaps,
introducing new
most importantly,
technologies,
in
cultural practices,
the
and
payment for
religious
large
beliefs to the
projects, such as
Egyptians.
the construction of
In
temples
this
and
bustling
pyramids.
market,
The
you
trade
see
of gold
Egyptians
helps to
interacting with
fund
foreign traders,
Egypt's
negotiating
great monumental
deals,
architecture.
and exchanging
And the
goods.
movement of this metal across
The ability
borders
to
strengthens
exchange
Egypt's
goods efficiently,
political and
facilitated
economic
by the
ties with
development
other
of
empires.
early forms of currency,
As the caravans
allows
continue their
Egypt
journey,
to maintain
you
its
observe
wealth
how
and
these
power.
trade routes have become the
But it is
arteries
not
through which
only
Egypt's
the
wealth
rich merchants
flows.
who benefit from these trade
Foreign
routes.
merchants who travel from
The workers
places
who
like
build the
Levant,
ships,
the Arabian
those who
Peninsula,
guide the caravans,
and even Mesopotamia,
and the laborers who unload the goods play an integral role in this commerce
Egypt,
system.
and the wider world.
They are the ones
bring
who
with
make
them
sure that the
items that
flow
are
of
unknown
goods
to the
continues
Egyptians,
uninterrupted,
things like rare,
ensuring that Egypt's wealth and power are preserved for generations to come.
Indeed.
The vast extent of Egypt's trade network is a testament to the empire's reach and influence. But it is not just Egypt's position that makes
by the
this trade
development
so
of early
significant.
forms of currency,
It is
allows
the
Egypt
goods
to maintain
exchanged, the
its wealth
grain, papyrus, linen, gold,
and power.
and ivory that are
But it is
valued
not only the
not
rich
only
South
by the
Asian
Egyptians
merchants
but
who
by their
benefit from
neighbors
these
as well.
trade routes. The
These
South
commodities
Asian
are
male workers
symbols
and
of
build the
Egypt's
ships,
greatness,
those who
and
guide the
through
caravans,
trade,
and the laborers who
Egypt
unload
becomes
the goods
the
play an
nexus of the
integral role in
ancient
this
world's
commerce.
commerce.
Egypt's wealth and
The
power are
wealth
preserved
generated
for
through
generations
trade
to come.
allows Egypt to
The
build
vast
its
extent
monumental
of Egypt's
cities,
trade network
expand
is a
its
testament to the
influence,
empire's reach
and establish
influence.
itself as one of the
But
most
it is not
powerful
just
and
Egypt's
prosperous
position that
civilizations
makes
in history.
this trade so
You pause
significant.
for a moment,
It is the
watching
goods
the
exchanged
caravan
that
disappear
grain,
into the distance.
papyrus, linen,
The
gold,
merchants
and
are
food
part of something much larger than themselves, each one playing a small but vital role in the continued prosperity of Egypt. Their goods, like the Nile itself, have connected Egypt to the rest of the world, weaving a complex
The wealth
web of
generated
commerce
through
and
trade
cultural
allows
exchange
Egypt
that
to build
will
its
leave a
monumental
lasting
cities
legacy.
and expand.
As you
its influence,
look back
and
over the
establish
sprawling
itself as
trade
one of the
routes of
most
Egypt,
powerful and
you
prosperous
realize that trade is
civilizations in
not just
history.
about goods, it is about connections. The exchange of goods and ideas has shaped Egypt's past, and it will continue to shape its future.
Of Egypt.
The merchants,
Their goods,
the
like
workers,
the Nile itself,
and the
have
rulers
connected
who
Egypt to the
oversee it
rest of the
all are
world,
part of a system that
weaving
has allowed
a
Egypt to
complex
flourish
web of commerce
and become
and
one
cultural
of the
exchange
most
that will
influential
leave a
empires
lasting
in
legacy.
history. And
And
as
you
this vast network of trade grows,
look back
so
over
too
the
does
sprawling
Egypt's
trade
influence
routes of
on the
Egypt.
ancient world.
You realize that
The
trade
sun
is not
sets
just about
over the
goods.
ancient
Exchange
landscape
of
of
goods and
Egypt,
ideas has shaped
casting long shadows over the massive construction sites of the pyramids and temples. The air
Merchants,
is thick
the
with
workers,
dust and the sound of
rulers who
laborers
oversee it all
working
are part of
tirelessly,
a system that has allowed
chiseling
Egypt
away at stone blocks,
Of trade
lifting
grows,
heavy
so too
materials,
does Egypt's
and
influence
constructing
on the
monuments
ancient
that will
world.
stand the test of
The
time.
sun sets over the
These
ancient landscape.
colossal structures, pyramids dedicated to the pharaohs, temples to the gods, and tombs for the elite are not just the result of architectural genius. They are a product of Egypt's thriving commerce. As you watch the workers toil under the hot sun, you realize that their labor is more than just a physical effort. It is a direct
colossal
result of the
structures,
wealth
pyramids
generated
dedicated to
by
the
trade.
pharaohs, temples to
The
the gods
abundance of goods, from
Tombs
gold
for
and
the
silver
elite
to food and
are not
materials,
just the result
has
of
given the rulers of
architectural
Egypt the
genius.
means to demand
They
such
are a
grand
product of
projects.
Egypt's thriving
These
commerce.
monuments are
As you
not
watch the
built on the
workers
backs of
toil
a
under the
struggling
hot sun,
economy.
You realize
They
that
are
their labor
the
is
visible
more.
manifestation of an empire that has flourished through the exchange of goods and resources.
trade.
The wealth from trade
The
has
abundance
funded
of
the
goods,
construction of
from
Egypt's
gold and silver
most
to
iconic
food and materials,
landmarks,
has given
and
the
it
rulers of
continues to
Egypt
shape
the
the
means to
social
demand
fabric of this ancient
are the
society.
visible manifestation
In
of an
the
empire
city's
that
life
has
is a
flourished through the
constant
exchange of
reflection of
goods
this
and
economic
resources.
boom. The streets
The
are
wealth from
filled with
trade
merchants
has funded
hawking
the
their
construction
wares,
of Egypt's
artisans
most
crafting
iconic
their
landmarks,
goods, and
and it
laborers
continues to
moving about,
shape
their
the social
hands
fabric of
covered
this
in
ancient
dust from their
society.
work on the
In
pyramids.
the city's life,
But
is a
as you
constant
observe the
reflection of
life in the cities, it becomes
and
clear
laborers
that the
moving
effects
about.
of trade on Egyptian
Their hands
society
covered in
go
dust
far
from their work
beyond
on the
just the
pyramids.
construction of monuments.
But as you observe
The
the
wealth
life in the
generated
cities,
through
it
commerce
becomes clear
has
that the
also
effects of
played a
trade on
pivotal
Egyptian
role
society
in
go
shaping the
far
social
beyond just
hierarchy.
the
The
construction of
Egyptians,
monuments.
much like the rest of the ancient world,
The wealth generated
have a
through
rigid
commerce
social
has
structure.
also played a pivotal role
At the
in
top
this
sit the
shaping
pharaohs
social
and
hierarchy.
priests, the
The
divine
Egyptians,
rulers and
much like
intermediaries
the rest
between
of
the
the
gods
ancient
and the
world,
people.
have a rigid social
These
hierarchy.
elite figures control much of the wealth, holding vast estates and commanding large portions of the nation's
Small traders peddling their
resources.
goods along the Nile
However,
have become
the
powerful
economic
figures in their own
prosperity
right.
brought by
Some have
trade
risen
has
to.
created opportunities for those lower in the social
Egypt has
order to
also
ascend.
benefited from the rise
The
of commerce.
merchants, once small
Skilled
traders
laborers,
peddling their
craftsmen,
goods
and
along the
Weavers
Nile,
producing
have
linen
become
and
powerful
textiles
figures in their own
find their
right.
lives changed
Some
by the
have risen to
commercial
wealth
boom.
and status through their dealings, becoming
As
part
trade
of the
grows,
elite
so
class
too
that
does the
oversees
need
the
to
kingdom's
document it.
economy.
The scribes,
But
highly
the
educated
transformation isn't just seen in
trained
the
art
upper
of writing,
echelons of
are the keepers of
society.
Egypt's economic
The
records.
working class
They
in
maintain
Egypt
detailed
has also
accounts.
benefited from the rise of commerce. Skilled laborers, craftsmen, and artisans now find themselves in high
That will
demand.
be 3 measures of
They
grain for
create
the
the goods that
Fair
fuel the network,
exchange.
and
The
in
gods
return,
favor this trade.
they are
Recorded.
rewarded with a steady
According to the royal
income and a
decree,
higher
this shipment
standard of
requires the
living.
seal. The tariff
It's
must
not
be paid
just
in
the
full.
wealthy
Of course, sir.
who have
It shall be
benefited
done
from the
immediately.
influx of goods, those who work with their
The
hands.
pharaohs, with
Like
their
the
control
stone
over the
carvers
wealth of
building
the
the
nation,
pyramids,
rely
and the
on
weavers
these figures
producing
to
linen and
regulate the
textiles,
economy
find
and
their
ensure that
lives
trade
changed by the
continues to
commercial
benefit
boom.
the kingdom as a whole.
The scribes and
The scribes,
administrators of
keeping from the
Egypt play an
famine,
equally
ensuring that
important
Egypt's
role
people
in
are
this
provided
emerging
for, even
economic
when times are
landscape.
hard.
As
you
trade
walk through the
grows,
bustling
so
alleys,
too does the need to document it.
Struck by how deeply
The scribes,
intertwined commerce
highly
and daily life
educated and
are.
trained in the art of writing,
The
are the
buck-
keepers
finest
of
grain
Egypt's
from the Nile.
economic records.
And the best linen in the market.
They
Surely
maintain
you can offer a
detailed
better
accounts of
price.
transactions.
the
From
looms
the
of skilled
exchange of
artisans,
goods in the
jewelry
marketplace
made
to the
from
larger
precious
scale
metals,
exchanges
and
between
statues of the
Egypt
gods.
and foreign lands.
These goods
It is
are
their
not just
work
traded for
that
profit.
ensures the smooth
They are
flow
the
of trade
symbols
and the
of
proper
Egypt's
distribution
success.
of goods. Without their
Laborers
careful
who build the
records,
pyramids
the
and the
intricate
merchants who
system
bring
of
goods
commerce
from
could
foreign
collapse
lands
into
both
chaos.
contribute to a greater whole.
These scribes and administrators
Thriving economy
not
that
only
sustains
record
the
the
kingdom.
transactions but also enforce the laws
The rise
surrounding
of
trade.
has also had a
The
profound
pharaohs,
effect. And
Indigenous
with their
male
control
artisans
over the
and
wealth
even
of the
African
nation,
female traders have the
rely
potential to
on
rise
these
above their
figures to
station.
regulate
The
the
wealth
economy
generated by
and
it allows
ensure
well
that trade
defended
continues
and
to
able to
benefit
expand
the
its
kingdom
borders.
as a whole.
the pharaohs,
The scribes
secure in
keep
the
a
knowledge that
close
they can
eye on the
fund
flow
military
of goods,
campaigns
making
with the
sure
wealth
that
of trade,
taxes are collected,
able to maintain
and that
Egypt's power
the
and
nation's
influence over neighboring
resources are
regions.
properly distributed.
Trade thus
They
becomes
also
not only a
oversee the
means of
allocation of
enriching
food
Egypt's economy,
and goods
but
during
also
times
a
of
tool
famine,
of political
ensuring
power.
that Egypt's people
The
are
modern
provided
world,
for,
the
even when
ruins of
times are
Egypt's
hard.
once great
As you
monuments
walk through the
stand as
bustling
testaments
streets of
to
an
the
Egyptian
civilizations
city,
and
you
enduring
can't help but
legacy.
be struck by how deeply
pyramids,
intertwined commerce
temples,
and daily
tombs
life are.
still inspire.
The markets
or
are
even
filled
millennia
with goods from
into
all
after they were
corners of the
built.
empire,
As
grain
you
from the
stand
fertile
among the
Nile
ruins,
Valley,
you can't help but
linen
marvel at
from the
fact
looms
that
of
the
skilled
wealth generated
artisans,
by trade
jewelry
played such a
made from
pivotal
precious
role in
metals,
creating these
and
wonders
statues of the
ancient
gods.
world.
These goods are not
The
just traded
exchange
for
Move the grain
profit.
to the upper warehouse.
They are
And be
the
careful
symbols
with the
of
pottery.
Egypt's
Yes,
success.
overseer. We will
The
be quick.
laborers who build the pyramids and the merchants who bring goods from foreign lands both contribute to a greater whole. A thriving economy that
Position
sustains
along
the
this mighty
kingdom.
river provided
The
a
rise
natural
of trade
route
has
connecting
also had a
Egypt to
profound
wide
effect
range
on
of
the
cultures,
ordinary
Nubia
people of
to the
Egypt.
south, the
As
Levant
the
to the
economy
northeast,
flourishes,
and beyond.
so to do the opportunities
This
for
extensive
advancement.
trade network was
The
not
working
merely a
class is
byproduct of
no
geographical
longer
location.
confined to menial labor.
It was driven by necessity
Skilled
and
workers,
foresight.
artisans,
Egyptian.
and even traders have the
agreement will benefit
potential
us
to
both,
rise
my
above
friend.
their station.
Indeed.
The wealth
May our
generated
paths
by
be
trade
prosperous.
allows people to acquire, More than just
We offer
food
the
and
finest
shelter,
gold
it
from the
allows
south,
them
and
to
these
live
jars
better
contain the
lives,
purest oil.
to afford luxury
but the price for the
goods,
lapis is high.
and to
that were
invest in their
demand
future.
throughout the ancient world,
The impact
including
of trade
papyrus,
is also
grain,
felt in the nation's
linen,
military.
and a wide array of
The
agricultural
wealth
produce.
and resources
In
brought
return,
by
they
trade
received
help to
precious
fund the
metals
army,
like gold and
ensuring
copper,
that Egypt is
luxury
well
items
defended
such
and
as
able to
incense
expand its
and rare
borders.
stones,
The pharaohs,
and the invaluable
secure in the
raw
knowledge
materials
that they can
could not
fund
produce
military
themselves,
campaigns with the
such as
wealth of
from
trade,
The
are
commerce
able
in
to
Egypt
maintain
wasn't
Egypt's
just for the
power
elite.
and
It
influence
touched
over
every
neighboring
layer of
regions.
society.
Trade thus becomes not only a means of
grain trade
enriching
alone was
Egypt's
crucial,
economy,
not
but
just for
also
local
a tool of
consumption, but
political
as a
power.
commodity that Egypt
In the
exported.
modern world, the ruins of Egypt's
fertile land
once great
provided
monuments
an
stand
abundance
as
of
testaments
crops,
to the
while the
civilization's
East Asian
enduring
laborers,
legacy.
many,
Of
The
African-American
pyramids,
male farmers who
temples,
worked the fields
and tombs
maintained
still
the river's
inspire awe,
irrigation systems,
even millennia
formed the
after they were
backbone of this
built.
agricultural and
As you
commercial
stand
boom.
among the ruins,
As
you
the
can't
crops were
help but
harvested
marvel
and
at the
the grain
fact
was shipped
that the
along
wealth
the Nile,
generated by
it
trade
ensured the
played such a
continued
pivotal role in
of goods and ideas
creating
has shaped
these
Egypt's
wonders of
past
the ancient
and laid
world.
the foundation for the
The
prosperity
exchange of
future
goods and
generations.
ideas has shaped
commercial
Egypt's
success
past
of ancient
and laid the
Egypt
foundation
also
for
set
the
stage
prosperity
for
of
the
future
development of
generations.
economies in other
The commercial success of
parts of the
ancient
world.
Egypt also
methods
set
of
the
trade,
stage for the
the
development
development
of
of early
economies
forms of currency,
in other parts
and
of the world. The methods
the
of
role of
trade,
administrators
the
and
development
scribes
of early
all
forms
laid
of
the groundwork
currency,
for modern
and
economic
the
systems.
role of administrators
The
and
power
scribes
of trade
all
to
laid the
transform
groundwork
societies
for
and
modern
shape the course of
economic
history
systems.
cannot be
The
overstated.
power of trade to transform
Egyptians,
societies
you leave the
and shape
ruins
the
of
course of
Egypt's
history
ancient cities
cannot be
behind.
overstated.
You reflect
The
on
Egyptians,
the powerful impact
through their mastery of commerce,
that trade
have
has
left
had
an
on the course
indelible
of
mark
history.
on the world that continues to
From the
resonate
creation of
even today.
monumental structures
As
to
you
the rise
leave
of
the
new social
ruins of Egypt's ancient cities behind, you reflect on the powerful impact that trade has had on the course of history.
You can't help
From the
but wonder
creation
how the
of
commercial
monumental
legacy of
structures to
ancient
the
Egypt
rise of
has
new
influenced
social classes, the wealth generated by trade has shaped every aspect of Egyptian life. And as you continue your journey, you can't help but wonder how the commercial legacy of ancient Egypt has influenced the world we live in today.